Eat this.
Don't touch that dial. It's time for Tech Talk with Chad Hembree, featuring the latest and greatest in today's technology, with a little fun along the way.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Oh God, here we go again. Dork alert.
Hello and welcome to the 225th edition of Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. I want to thank Brian and Dean for joining me back in the studio again. And we had a good time last week. I'm very glad you're back here. And go ahead and introduce your company again.
Let Brian do it. It'll be his first time.
Oh, okay, great.
Put you on the spot.
We are DB Solutions, and we provide business solutions for small business, from IT to business savings, cost savings, network efficiencies, free estimates, and what else?
And what else?
Yeah.
Whatever else you need, we'll do it. We'll
That's
take
pretty
care
much
of
it.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks for being here. It's Brian Himes, Dean Buttry. Once again, I'm Chad Hembree. Thanks for joining me. If it's the first time you've watched the show, well, it'll be very interesting, we hope. But if it's the not the first time you've listened to the show or watched it, then it may be a little bit different. So we're going to see how this plays out. We have decided to go with segments this season where we're going to have a website of the week, a gadget of the week. We've got a news section, and trying to split the show up a little bit and just play with the format some. So without further ado, we're going to go to our first news section. It's coming up right now. We have got a few stories that I want to talk about in more detail. The first one has to do with Apple and the way it addressed its shareholders this week and the way they backed Apple. This is the scary part to me. We tease all the time. If you're familiar with the very sad and tragic Jim Jones story, then you know what we're talking about when we say drink the Kool-Aid. If you don't, you need to watch the movie or go to Wikipedia and look up Jim Jones, because I don't want to explain it to you. But anyway, we say that Steve Jobs sometimes plays that role, and you drink in the apple Kool-Aid, right? Well, apple Kool-Aid. Is that a sidetrack? I may be onto something.
Tastes like apple cider.
Except
it's
darn,
cool.
it is taken.
Glad none of us are wearing a red shirt. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, Dwayne is.
Yeah, Dwayne's got a red shirt. That's not okay. Yeah, anyways.
He's gotta come busting through the wall.
The Kool-Aid man has been spoken for. Apple talked to its shareholders and said, look, Steve Jobs is sick again. We know that there's going to have to be a secession of the CEO position. And we don't really want to tell you all who we're looking at. We want to keep it inside the company. And the shareholders said, okie dokie.
Sure thing, boss.
I'm sure there's a reason for it and there's a reason behind it. And they probably had a much better talk than I just gave. But not all my money, but if I had a lot of money invested into Apple, I do have some money invested into Apple, but not to the level that I get a say. But if I had a lot of money invested into Apple, I would not like not knowing what's happening with my money.
Sure.
Who's going to drive this ship? Drive the ship. I got fussed at by a cruise captain one time. He said, we were on a cruise, and he's like, "You do not drive the ship."
You don't fly it there, boss. What do you do?
That's a good point. All right, no driving the ship. Gotcha. You can steer the vessel.
There you go.
There's lots of other things you can do, but you don't drive the ship. So anyway, I want to know who is going to be leading Apple in the future. Now,
Wozniak. Sorry.
oh yeah, right. In your dreams. I don't even think Steve Wozniak would want the job. Okay?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
He
so-
doesn't.
it's a big responsibility. It's a huge job. There's lots of eyes on this position, so whoever takes it is going to literally live in the spotlight. So it's a lifestyle change for whoever takes it. Because running Apple, you're it. I mean, people look at you.
Yeah.
So it changes everything. So I guess that I'm speaking out because I don't like the secrecy thing. I like open companies that tell not what they're working on. I mean, obviously they keep that under wraps, but I want to know financially, who's running the company, what's going on, where's my money.
Well, it's the whole reason that they have stocks. They are a public company. I mean,
You would think they're not, though. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
That's the problem that we
I'll
have,
dodge
right?
that one, but-
It's not Apple's technology. It's not their hardware. It's not their software. It's the way they do business like that scares me sometimes
Top
today.
down. It's their top down.
Lord Vader.
Anyway, I do wish Steve well. I hope that this isn't as serious of an issue as his liver transplant was. But maybe you could, I was thinking, if you or I or Dean had to have a liver transplant, would we get back up and go back and run a company? No, we'd probably spend some time with our family.
Right.
If we had his money, we'd be going to the Bahamas, a couple of Europe trips. He lives for the job. Okay, I mean, he
Sure.
loves it.
Sure.
Obviously, or he wouldn't do it. And that makes it even more important to know who's replacing him.
Oh, yeah.
So with that in mind, we do have a Apple product that's featured on this week's show. So to let you know, we're not totally anti-Apple. It's just, we're arguing over the business things. Technology-wise, Verizon, of course, starting to carry the iPhone 4. And Mike Beagle, our friend at Verizon, is actually going to be here to talk about the new iPhone 4 and show it for us. So I'm very excited about that. For those listening on the radio, we'll describe it the best we can.
Right.
But go to the website, chadhembree.com, and you can see pictures. So check it out. I don't really have any more to say about the Apple story. I mean, we're not, investing with Chad Hembree. We're Tech Talk. But the fact is, this is a big deal. Who's going to be steering the company in the future?
I'll do it. I'll step up. Steve, if you want someone to step up, I'll do it. iPhone 5, Android edition. That's my first act of business.
You're just off. You're mean.
I was going to say the day that all the cows don't jump over the cliff for the first time.
Oh, my goodness.
There you go. Wait a minute. There's this redneck.
Apple
from-
stocks fell
Yes.
to negative 60. No, is that possible? I get a note in the mail. You've been debited $60 for
New
your
C-
loss in shares.
New CEO suspected to be Microsoft spy.
Microsoft. I thought it was Google.
Maybe
Okay.
triple espionage.
Last year, we had a show that was based around encrypting your computer, why it's a good idea to encrypt your files, and the way that you don't lose your personal data, you're protecting your identity, bank accounts, etc., especially if you lose a notebook. A lot of people are carrying these things now, and losing one is a big deal. And we went on and on and on telling about all the programs you could use and the way you could use it. And we may revisit that later in the season because I still get a lot of emails about it. But here we are just really pouring it out. And PGP was our favorite one that we talked about for paying. And TrueCrypt was our favorite free one. The feds, led by the Drug Enforcement Task Force, are working now to break encryption because they're having a hard time convicting some criminals because they can't get to the stuff on their computer, and legally they can't make you give your passphrase up.
Yeah, that's a bumpy road.
A slippery slope, even, right?
Yeah, that's real simple. They should just pass legislation that if you are suspected of being a felon, you should give your passphrase. It shouldn't be that they.
I disagree with that completely. I don't think you should ever be forced to incriminate yourself in this country. Ever.
Well, I mean, it depends. If it's a, child molester and he's got video of it, he should incriminate himself. And if he's not, then what has he got to hide?
That's true, but it's your personal, it's your investment stuff. I mean, it's your tax information. You shouldn't have to give all that up just because somebody suspects there's one thing on there. And which, whether it is or isn't, you shouldn't have to give everything else up.
True.
So I don't know. What they're doing is some better espionage type things, like they're putting key loggers on suspected criminals' computers so they can get the passphrase themselves.
Yeah.
If you've got enough evidence to be actually camping out watching someone, I'm not totally against key loggers at that point because if you're already being watched.
True.
Okay. I don't know. Where do you stand? I mean, do you agree with that or not? What is a key logger, by the way?
A key logger is essentially its name. Whatever keys you press, it logs. So if you log into Facebook, Dean at dvsoulsinc.com and Brian sucks is my password, it logs all that.
You want to slow that down in case everybody didn't catch that? Is that spelled with CKS or X?
The idea of keyloggers originally was for hackers to steal your information, right? They put them on your computer, you type in your passwords, they get it. Of course, now the government wants to be the hacker and get your passphrases. Now, I got busted with a keylogger once. I sure did. And I didn't do anything wrong, by the way, but I did get busted. A computer came into my shop, and I was working on it. And I got it fixed, sent it back with the people. A couple days later, Mr. Hembree, I'm Detective so-and-so, and this computer we know was in your office because we logged you typing in your wireless access key code, and we know it was here. It's stolen from the University from Eastern Kentucky University, and we would like to get it back. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I said, there's only one problem with that. And what is it, sir?
Too late.
I work on dozens of computers a week. And he's like, oh, this is a computer shop, isn't it? So, I guess, that's something they really hadn't put into their whole theory, plan. They're thinking, I'm going to this guy's house or his business that's a pet store, and it's his computer or his friend's computer, right, and he can nail it really quickly. So, I'm going down this long list to try to figure out whose computer that could have been. Because that was very vague information, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, that was almost the argument I started to bring up a while ago. As far as like checks and balances and warrants and that sort of thing, you were talking about if somebody is being staked out, they're truly investigating that person. There's a whole backlog of things to happen. I almost said that to give weight to your part of the argument a minute ago. And then there you are. You had a detective show up, didn't quite look past the end of his nose, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So
it is scary.
It was funny because I was guilty from the minute he walked in the door until the curveball hit.
Right.
When the curveball came, that's when he backed off and he said, well, we need to find this thing. Can you help us? Yes, sure. I can help you. And yes, I will help you. And I did find it, by the way. And I was so nice that I even delivered it to him.
Really?
Yeah. So I made good on it. And the people that bought it, by the way, I protected they bought it.
So it was much more about getting the machine
back. I lost the fee for working on because I gave it back.
Sure.
Okay. They lost their money for paying for it. They did eventually catch the guy that stole it from EKU to begin with. He had stolen several and had sold them several places. And these people were victimized, and they were my customers.
Nice.
So, I felt sorry for them.
Sure.
And that happens to people all the time, but that's my key logger story. It happened.
Man.
Nice.
Now, you were talking about like child pornography, which every time you turn on the news now, that's getting to be a big deal. And I don't accessibility. I don't know what it.
It's sick, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously on that. But I just don't get the numbers. I mean, it's really scary is what it is. So I want to say it's frightening to me.
Now, the only thing, is it rising or is it like the shark attacks?
Exactly.
They one year felt like they should report all the shark attacks. And so people were in on it. So it was actually less than years before, but everyone thought it was worse because the news is reporting it. Is it one of those instances?
It may be. It may be.
Hot topic, so they're reporting on it more often.
More often. Okay, I can get that. But here, you're talking about, are we protecting them? Well, no, that's not the point. We're not just we're protecting everybody. Right. It's everybody's rights we're looking out for, right, on your computer to protect your stuff. Those people, at some point, are going to transfer that. They should be staked out watching their IP addresses, okay? They're going to catch them in the transfer. And if they don't catch them in the transfer, then eventually they'll catch them in the lifestyle. It's just patience and good police work. I know they can. And the Drug Enforcement Agency and the feds are talking about wanting to be able to get into the computers. But truthfully, that comes down to the prosecutors. They're the ones that really need that information.
Yeah. Well, the detectives will gather it all for the prosecutor.
Yeah.
So they prepare the case that the prosecutor examines.
So anyway, you're right. It's a slippery slope of sorts, but I'm going to stand my ground that I think we really should not have to give our passwords up, and encryption is still a good idea.
Oh yeah, see, it's one of these areas where I'm very situational. I'm all about privacy, keeping the government away, but at the same time, I'm all about if you're a serious criminal, a sicko like a child molester or a murderer, I think we should drag you out and beat you to death publicly. And I would volunteer for that job. Sign me up.
I got a couple countries you can go to, and you don't have to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, because I really believe in that instance, maybe not a child molester because you can't cure that, but maybe a murderer or robbers or drug dealers. They see a bunch of their buddies just get dragged out in the street and their brains blown out or beat to death. They're probably going to, I probably shouldn't sell this pot. Just good rule of thumb. I don't want to get beat to death.
And you don't think that the crime should fit the punishment? I mean, really? Or the punishment should fit the crime? Maybe I said that backwards. All right. Well, this has been Government According to Dean.
Exactly. The views and expressions.
Yeah, views and expressions.
I can make it fit. Like drug dealers will OD them. Yeah, anything on TV. It needs to be public.
You're vicious.
When it comes to
so
that,
anyway, the whole point being that the Fed is now looking to circumvent the same encryptions that was encouraging everyone to use. And on the complete legitimate side, encryption is still a good idea. Encrypt your stuff. Get a computer program to encrypt your stuff. I love PGP. It encrypts the entire hard drive. Somebody steals it, they can't get anything. It's a big paperweight. Okay.
What about the NSA and the CIA? Can they already crack the encryption?
No one yet, as of yet has been able to crack the government paid for, sponsored, and approved AES encryption, which is what's really funny. They're wanting to crack something they paid to have uncrackable.
Makes perfect government sense.
That's right. You know what it is? It's one department saying to the other going, you really didn't talk to us before you did that, did you? Yeah. We really should have had a back door. No, if you had a back door, everybody would have had a back door.
Oh, there is no back door.
Yeah.
Didn't think get Watson to
there you go.
Okay, the door's been opened. Dwayne yells Watson in the background to figure it out. Of course, if you've been watching Jeopardy, we got about 3 minutes left for this segment. Watson was on there, and I'm going to let Dean correct his mistake.
Okay. So last week I made a mistake, and I'm blaming this all on Jack Cates, who's yet to show up for another show. He told me that Watson didn't have a buzzer, and he was the expert. But apparently Watson does have a buzzer. He's got a mechanical thumb, presses the buzzer. So he is actually figuring the answers out quicker than the humans. He does have to click the button. But I still blame Jack Cates. Jack.
Poor Jack.
Hey, he ain't here to defend himself.
So no, that's right. You kick a man while he's gone. I tell you, that's pretty low. We are listening to Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. I want to thank Dean Buttrey and Brian Himes for being here with me in the studio. Next up, we'll be visiting with Mike Beagle as he tells us all about the new Verizon iPhone 4. Hello and welcome back to Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. This week's featured gadget is the iPhone 4 from Verizon. And to help show it off, we've brought to the studio, back again for another visit, Mr. Mike Beagle, who is here with actually the device in hand.
I sure am. I brought the device with me. I appreciate you having me back. The Verizon's proud to announce we waited for years and years to have the iPhone on our network, and it's finally here. And it's 3G. With 3G as strong as it is here in Berea, this is a fantastic device. It's been popular for the business channel, retail channel. It's been very successful for us.
Of course, we have listeners all over the country, and it looks like you're still preaching the largest network. Is that true for the high-speed internet? Are you rolling out everything for it?
It is. It sure is. Verizon Wireless continues to maintain the largest 3G network in all the United States.
And 3G is pretty much what we're still focusing on. I know we see a lot of advertisements for 4G, and then I like the Aussie commercial, the 5, and the
Right, right.
But the fact is, you really staying focused on 3G is not a bad idea at the moment.
No, 3G produces very fast internet speeds. You get broadband speeds up to 1 megabyte per second, and we got most of the nation blanketed. 4G is what's coming. 4G will be the future. We're in about 40 cities right now, but at the moment, 3G is still the focus. We're continuing to build out our 3G network.
This is not like you've quit one and started the other.
We'll never back out of our 3G because it's what laid the pipe for our 4G. So 3G will always exist. The devices that we may see moving forward that will be 4G will be backwards compatible to even operate on the 3G because it's going to stay around for so long.
Great. Okay, well, we've talked about Verizon. Let's talk about the device itself and maybe some differences between it and the other company's iPhone.
This is the iPhone 4, not to be confused with 4G. It operates on the 3G network. Apple made a device exclusive for us. They completely rebuilt it. They made it just for us. It is very similar in features, though. It has the great Retina display that some folks are familiar with. It's got the 5-megapixel camera on the back and the front-facing camera as well. So you can do the FaceTime application that everybody's become so familiar with, where you can actually see the video of the person you're talking to as long as they have an iPhone as well, or a device with the FaceTime. And it does support multitasking now, so you can have multiple applications open at the same time, where that's unique to the iPhone 4. The past iPhones couldn't do that.
Okay, so multitasking is something even the new Windows can't do.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's true. I know. We talked
accurate?
about it last week. The new Windows, and we were very upset about that. So this is interesting.
Yeah, you sure can, and I'll kind of demonstrate it a little bit here. So, for example, if I go ahead and open up Safari, if you double-click the home button down here, it's going to give you your available applications at the bottom to what you would like to jump to. So if I want to jump over to a score tracker by Yahoo, I tap that, and it moves over, and the internet is continued to run in the background. So if I double click and jump back to Safari, it's going to go right back there. I don't have to wait for it to load again. So it's actually running both applications at the same time.
Wow.
It's pretty sharp.
And do you know what processor is in this?
It's a 1 gigahertz.
1 gigahertz?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And memory?
Memory, this is the 16 gigabyte.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the 32 gig.
Okay, so 16 is the lowest now.
16 is the low.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And what are the prices on those phones?
With a 2-year contract, you can get the 16 gig for $200, and with a 2-year contract, the 32 gig will run you $300.
Okay, very competitive.
Yep, yep. For what you get, it's a great price point on the network and the reliability of the device, and combined with our network, it's a fantastic deal.
Now, what version of the operating system are you running here? Do you know?
I'm not sure. It's the latest. I want to say 4. Do you know what?
No, I don't.
You don't know?
I really don't know. I'm not leading you this time.
Right. It's whatever the latest is that Apple has pushed out. There's not an operating system that's more advanced than what you would get at the store.
Latest.
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's fine. And I did hear there's a couple of changes on it. There were complaints on the blog about the case not lining up right.
Since they did make a device different for us, there is a little bit of difference that you'd see from a competitor's iPhone 4. The volume buttons, for example, are a little bit lower on ours because they completely remade the device and they put some different thought into why they would do things. And the geniuses at Apple they decided it was best for our device to have them here. So,
Okay.
not a whole lot of reasoning why, but it is a little bit different positioning on the volume buttons right there. You still have the lock button in the same positioning. But other than that, it's pretty much the same.
So that's really the only difference then.
Yeah.
So, you hear complaints and you wonder how legit some of it is.
Right. And the big differentiator is going to be the network. I hear folks all the time say, I got this great device, but it just doesn't do anything. And it's slow, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. But when you're on true 3G coverage, your apps are flying. You can update them. Your internet speeds, everything's just great.
Well, I do a lot of traveling, of course, and especially here lately, I've been out in eastern Kentucky quite a bit.
Yeah.
Out there, there's not many options. Let's just put it that way. And it so happened Verizon does have a good network out there.
We do
there
pick
are a
up
lot
well.
of people switching back there.
We have a roaming agreement with Appalachian Wireless. They work in Eastern Kentucky, so we have as good a coverage as it gets in Eastern Kentucky.
Oh wow! So that's the reason.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you bringing this down here,
Not a problem.
and we look forward to you bringing more devices as they come.
As they come, I'd love to come show them off. This device is available at retail stores or VerizonWireless.com. You can order it, or if you got a business account, you can contact your business representative, and they can take care of you as well.
And if they happen to be in the Kentucky area,
I am a business representative. You can reach out directly to me, and I'd be happy to take care of them.
how would we get a hold of you?
The best way is just call me directly on my cell. That's 859-537-5274. Or it's mike.beagle, and Beagle's BEEGLE at VerizonWireless.com.
And then you cover the greater Lexington area.
I do. I got a counterpart that splits Lexington with me, and he goes north and west, and I go south. So I cover all of Richmond, Berea, London, Somerset, surrounding counties.
Well, don't try to figure that out. Just call him. He'll
Just
send
call
you to
me.
the right person. That's right.
If you're not mine, I'll give you the right person.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for being here.
No problem. I'm glad you had me. We're real excited about this.
Any new things coming down the pike you want to hint about? Or?
Have you seen the teaser for the Thunderbolt?
Yes.
We'll come talk about that when it's ready.
All right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be really close to the Sprint one that's already out, the Evo, but it's a newer.
There's been some comparisons, but it's going to be pretty powerful. Yeah.
Well, all right. We won't spoil it.
Yeah.
We'll just wait and get you back. All right. Thanks again for being here. This is Mike Beagle with Verizon Wireless, and this is the end of our device segment, which is actually a new segment we're doing on this season of Tech Talk. So we'd like to hear your opinions on how we're doing. So send us some email, contact us, put something on the blog. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you.
Hi, folks. I'm Noma Fulton, and I like to rock. You know what else rocks? Wings of Hope magazine. Order yours today. Check it out at WOHMAG.com. That's WOHMAG.com.
Hello and welcome back to Tech Talk with Chad Hembree. That was very interesting. Mike had a lot of good things to say about that phone, and he gave a hint. He's going to be back in a few weeks to talk about the Thunder. Bring in the Thunder. So I like the iPhone, and I always have it, and it was a breakthrough device.
Yeah.
And now that it's on Verizon's network, that's awesome. It really is. But it's so funny. You know, he gets up and he says, well, I'll bring that Thunder back in a few weeks. It's like, still not a real Apple fan, are you? Just can't do it, man. And I said, well, what is it you don't like about the iPhone? And he goes, well, I'll just tell you the truth. You can't customize it.
No.
It is what it is. It looks like what it looks like. And he uses a Droid. And he loves his Droid because he has it all customized to the way he wants it. It makes sense.
And if you try to customize the iPhone, they try to punish you for it.
But they don't ban you for life.
They're not like
Sony
Sony.
does.
Oh my god.
Not yet.
Well,
Okay, I have to say, I made a guest visit.
to Sony?
To Never Press Pause, and stuck my head in at the very end of their latest episode. And if you don't know what Never Press Pause is, by the way, that's another show that's produced in the Tech Talk studio, and they talk about pop culture, games, movies, and they're really big into gaming. Xbox, PS3,
PC.
Yeah, PC. Yeah. So I always have to get their opinion on things. So I popped in the studio and stuck my head in there, and they were down to just a couple minutes of show left, and I dropped that bomb on them, and they were like, they're huge fans, and they really, really think that people should be banned because the hacked ones are really messing up the gameplay for the regular players, okay? So, because it's cheats, or what they're talking about.
Sure.
And I'm sure that would make you angry, you know, playing and cheats come in. But what they didn't know that it was worded banned from all Sony online services for life. And they're like, well, how can you get away with that? Because they don't ask you anything but a password and a name. Just make up another name. Okay, so maybe they banned the username. Right. So maybe we went to extreme on that, but it was fine.
It was.
Yeah. Well, and I understand the cheats, but people cheat on the Xbox too, and it makes me mad. But any hacking of the PSA, loading another operating system, which they touted as a feature up until 8 months ago.
Okay.
Well, it also gets you banned. It's just like. You know,
so you're saying they're going to the real extreme,
yeah.
though?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on then. We're going to talk about something that's really been itching you this week, Dean.
Yes.
And I'll let you introduce it. Come right ahead.
Okay, so this is about the evil empire Apple again.
Oh, come on now. Be nice.
Okay. Apple's new aggressive subscription model. They are actually calling it IAP for something. I can't remember the acronym. But essentially, they released a new subscription model for all apps in the market.
You can use Google to look up what IAP on Apple means.
That's true. I have another article.
Or if we were really nice, we'd let you talk and we'd do it for you.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
But they released February 15th their subscription model for all apps in the marketplace. And it states any app existing within the marketplace, when this goes into effect, or any new apps will be rejected and removed if you have a subscription service, like New York Times, for instance, is
Popular Science.
Popular Science. Any subscription-based item that if you do not go through Apple's subscription provider, they will ban you. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll have to use Apple, and it gives me single sign-on service, and kind of a nifty idea. Apple takes a 30% cut of your subscriptions every renewal period. 30%.
Okay, look, I'm Popular Science, and I'm selling subscriptions to Popular Science on the iPad now. Well, not even talk about the phone. Forget the phone. Forget the microphone. Anyway, forget the phone. Just talk about the iPad, because they're really bragging. You can get your magazines on the iPad.
Right.
And I'm getting my subscription a lot cheaper than print because it's on my iPad now. And then all of a sudden, Apple slaps Popular Science with taking 30% of the profit, which means Popular Science is probably just going to raise it 30% and keep my subscription.
Yeah, capitalism is a wonderful machine when it works for you, but in this instance, it isn't. All right, and what's really funny about this, the company that we never say good things about, Google, the next day, February the 16th, revised their new Google One Pass subscription plan to state that you can have subscriptions anywhere else. This is just a feature if you choose to use it. It's completely optional, and they only take 10%.
Google really does like playing good child, don't they?
Yes,
like, look at me. But then, don't get me wrong. They're still a business, and they're still out for profit. Like the whole China thing, go America, we're going to block, we're not going to do that. And then after all the hush went away, they're back in China now, by the way. they backed down, and they're still filtering, just like they said they didn't want to. But what they won't do is sell out their customers to the government like they got accused of.
Yes. Now, the thing that's really propelling the story is that the FCC is investigating Apple for antitrust and monopolizing. because this is what this whole came about due to the tablet e-reader stuff with the magazine subscriptions. The FCC is thinking that since they have 80% of the market in tablets because of the iPad, that this is a monopolization of the resources that they have. They're forcing companies to, follow. I mean, it's like Walmart did in 80s and 90s with retailers, forcing them to go with their model and then pay them for it. And so they are actually there's no charges being filed or anything like this, but it raised enough eyebrows that they're going, this doesn't really seem kosher. And they're actually looking at it to see if they should press charges.
Well,
all because of a $3 app.
Well, that shedding of light on that, what's going to happen now?
I think if there's enough heat from publishers, because let's face it, if Netflix lost Universal and Time Warner and stuff like that, they wouldn't have subscribers. They would drop Netflix. If Apple, these companies say, the heck with you, we're going to Android or Kindle. As Amazon Kindle started a one-pass deal and it's only 10%. We're going to go to these guys and drop the iPad. Apple's going to go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, come back to us. We're 10%. Yeah.
Okay. I can see your point.
Yeah. So I think either Apple will get enough pressure from the federal government and they'll back down like they did with the iPhone cracking issue, which I meant to say earlier, they picked up on again. Now they ban you from the iBooks if you crack your phone. And then, but yeah, I'll either think that or just the market itself will move on past the iPads, and they'll be forced to come back.
That's what I think will happen. It's personally what I hope happens. I'm sorry, not drinking all the Kool-Aid.
No, I understand.
Yeah, they'll drive prices up until they leave. It'll drive it up long enough for the consumers to go, what? And leave. And then they'll have to fight for customers back. Apple,
so you're saying the free market will
the free market
save
will
it.
I think there's enough people.
Are you missing one little thing?
The Kool-Aid?
You're missing that they're Apple customers.
Yes.
Now, understanding that there are a lot of iPhone customers out there that aren't your typical Apple fan. So if they're Apple customers, true Apple customers, they're just going to stick with it.
Right.
And, this is the way they told me that it should be, and it's probably okay. But they're going to have a lot of these iPhones, people that went to them and who said, oh, wow, this is a cool new gadget. Kind of use it, kind of like it. Not really tech people.
Right.
And now it's time to get a new phone, and they're thinking, ooh, I can't get my favorite magazines on this one, but I can on this one. And this one's $49, and this one's $149. I'll take this one. You see?
Yeah, I think that.
I think that you're right. Free market will help on those customers, but some of them are.
Oh, some are diehard.
They will stay fine.
I agree.
Okay. I mean,
it's how it's been through time, because the whole Apple battle started long ago, and oh no, Windows is better. You get 3.1. Heck with that Mac OS. It started way back then. And there's still those people that are holding on, fighting tooth and nail.
By the way, the new Apple OSs are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I like them.
They're fast.
Yeah.
And they weren't great on a PC.
I actually read a Hackintosh.
We actually, 2 years ago, talked about there was a PC company that was selling PCs with Mac OS on it. And, of course, you could get a Mac for a fraction of the cost. That didn't go over very well. That got shut down real quick.
The Hackintosh, go to Hackintosh.com. Do it yourself.
Hackintosh.com.
Hackintosh.
Spelled just like it sounds.
Spelled just like it sounds.
Okay. All right. Hackintosh.
Told you.
All right. Now it's time for our website of the week. There'll be fancy music inserted right here so you won't actually hear what I'm doing. Okay. Our website of the week is Gadget, but it's spelt funny, gdgt.com. Now, I actually talked about this site 2 years ago, so this is a repeat. But you know what? It deserves a repeat because it's an awesome site. What Gadget allows you to do is go on to the site, see reviews of all kinds of hardware that people own, so you know that you're hearing from somebody that's had a little experience with it. Then you get to share with all the devices that you own. And you set up your user account and you put, yes, I have a Navigon 2100 GPS unit, and I have a HP Touch Smart computer, and you list all your computers and your parts, and people can come back in, and then they can even ask you questions like, well, what do you think about this? Because I'm thinking about getting one.
Nice.
Really a neat site. I encourage both of you all as homework for the next week to go on and create an account and list a few of your gadgets. And what you're really going to like is the I want listing section, because I know that I want thunder.
Yes.
I know
Perfect ad campaign for that would be the Thundercats.
Oh, no, perfectly.
Yeah.
I'll wear my shirt in here.
So when Mike comes back with the new Verizon Thunder phone, you're going to tell him the Thundercats will be the perfect commercial for that.
I'll be wearing my shirt.
Oh, you'll be wearing your Thundercats.
Yeah.
Brian is secretly a nerd. He doesn't like to admit it, but he really is.
Oh, I embrace it.
He's embracing it right now by being on here.
Are you kidding? I can pull up Lino on my phone right now.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my list on Gadget.com and give you a quick look at here. I've listed. Oh, you can also put things that you have owned. Of course, I was putting on here that I had a Nintendo 64.
You still got your Genesis, right?
A Nintendo first generation, a GameCube, a Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and a Sega Master System.
Nice.
I remember. And what's funny is when I had the Master System, I didn't have many cartridge games. Those were expensive.
Yeah.
I had those little card games that you slid in the side of it.
Yep.
Nice. Did you put a ColecoVision on there?
I didn't have Coleco.
You didn't have Coleco?
No, I had an Intellivision, but it wasn't.
You're right.
Yeah, Intellivision wasn't listed on there. I'm going to have to create one and get a picture and put it on myself, because apparently no one else in the world put their Intellivision on there.
Come on.
Huh.
No way.
I've still got
You have
that.
to hold.
I know where I can get a picture of one, because Dwayne still has his.
Nice. Do you play it often?
No, it won't. You
Burger
can't.
Time champion.
Hey, when's the last time you seen a scene that was bad? When's the last time you saw a
I'm rubbing off on
TV?
you.
You saw a TV with the
rabbit ears?
two little rabbit ear screws to hook an antenna to it, because that's how you hooked up an
Nice.
television.
I know it's still in a junk drawer at my parents' house right now. One of those adapters, Dwayne. I'm coming over. I want Burger Time.
Burger Time was an awesome game. You know what I really
Pitfall.
liked about it? We're way off there, but
Sorry.
what I really liked about the Intellivision was the number pad on it. Of course, it had that phone cord that went to their controllers, but they had a boxing game.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
And you could do different punches.
It was
which,
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
my friends that had the Atari, one
Yeah.
punch.
Yeah. Button.
Button. That's right. At least with this one, I had to actually, duck, dodge. Of course, I do realize one thing about that game.
What?
I spent a whole lot of time looking at the controller instead of looking, did I win? Get down and back up. Oh, well, those were the days.
Yeah.
So anyway, Gadget.com, please check it out, gdgt.com, and check me out. I've got a site on there, Chad Hembree. It's all crammed together, just like the website.
Yep.
ChadHembree, and you
Chad
can
Hembree.
find Chad Hembree. Real quick, no space between it. I just think it's an awesome site,
That's
and
pretty
it's very simply laid out. I just like it. I don't know what to say.
I
about
can
it.
say right off the top right now, I see news, which is good. People can find out news. Discuss right there. It is a tab right at the top.
Oh yeah, you're not going to have a hard time discussing or finding information on a product here, and you're not getting any kind of professional spin. Now, I will say this: the site is getting an upgrade, and it'll be 2.0, which is coming out very soon. So that's another reason I'm promoting. Get on there and look at it, and then when the upgrade comes, you'll be right there
Sure.
at the beginning.
Cool. Now, if I get on here and people tell me my new Harmony One remote sucks, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, you should have asked somebody on here before you bought it. I mean, come on, Dean, you're a tech guy. You could have asked someone. Did you actually look at reviews?
Yes, I did.
You know, that is so common now. People look up everything, even other people, before they become friends or whatever.
Yeah.
It's quite
That's why I go by a fake name most of the time.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm Brian Himes.
Nice. Nice. Reference that E last time, Chad. Remember Brian E. Himes?
Yes.
He's Brian Himes.
I'm
I'm
just
Brian
thinking,
E. Himes.
I just think your credit score crashed. Your mortgage just went up 2 points.
If my son sees this, he'll remind me, we need LifeLock. He thinks LifeLock
Okay, let me
saves the
get
world.
this. Jay
JJ.
and
Zach.
Do they? Because Mason, my son Mason, his birthday's tomorrow. He turns 6, so we're very excited, and he's all excited. But he really could be an Apple person because he buys into every ad he sees.
Oh.
I mean, he came into the bedroom and sat on the end of the bed and told Letha and I, we need to get a ball home. I said, why do we need a ball home? Because they make dreams come true.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Well, did
They couldn't be wrong.
Disneyland,
They said it.
Yeah, it's on TV too.
Yes, it's on TV
That
and they
important.
said it. It has to be the truth.
My son's quick plug
So,
here.
yeah, what I wanted to know is what you got going on.
Oh, okay. No, this is perfect. The limited resources we have for sitters, unfortunately, her house got broken into. And my son overheard this because that was changing our plans and everything going. He's playing in the floor, not paying attention. But somehow this conversation spills over. Her house was broken into. He didn't raise up. He didn't look away from whatever it was he was playing with. He just said, she needs LifeLock, and went right back on playing. So that's what commercialism does, especially in a house like mine that doesn't get a whole lot of outside exposure.
I'm telling you, it just blows my mind. It's amazing.
Hers is a lot of toys and music. She's a real big music fan, and so she like the Samsung theme. She goes around singing.
Okay.
So we'll be sitting somewhere out here, woo, or whatever the heck the theme goes, and I'm like, wow, is this Samsung commercial on?
Evolution Man, they have the jingle radio stations.
I tell you,
Yeah.
it is so funny that Mason does that too. Every little tune on TV he picks up.
Mm-hmm. It's scary.
And another thing, do your two come running to the TV when the commercials start?
Knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
No, she gets mad. Of course, I've got her to where she can. She was actually playing with the Harmony remote now, so you might be able to use it. But I showed her how to switch channels because I have pictures now on there with the touchscreen of Disney, Nickelodeon, CW. So she got to where the commercials come on. She knows that the ears are Mickey and that the splat is Nickelodeon, and that's where SpongeBob is. So when commercials come on, she can go, and it puts in the number.
Oh no, you've programmed your kid. She's like human DVR.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mason, he would be mad if you turned the commercials off. Especially, I mean, if it's a program that's really targeted to someone his age, he knows the commercials are going to be things he likes, like Transformers.
Yes. Autobots.
Dwayne is his hero right now
I'm
because
sure.
Dwayne showed him the trailer to Transformers 3 the other day, which I had kind of been holding back.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's his hero at the
I
moment.
can only imagine.
How are we doing on time?
Still got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Good.
We have got about 3 more stories that I wanted to get in here, and Dwayne tells me we got about 10 minutes left, so it should be good. The first thing is the smart car. Okay, I don't know if you all know this story, but when I decided I wanted to have my midlife crisis, I went out looking for a convertible, and my wife was all for this because she didn't want me to get a motorcycle.
Okay.
We shopped around, and I saw this little smart car convertible sitting on a lot. I'm going to try that. And I got in it. Of course, they're made by Mercedes. They're made pretty well. It's got a little, it's a manual automatic transmission. I don't know how to explain it. It's a manual, yeah. It's got the paddle shift. You don't have to use it. It will change itself eventually. 3 years after it should.
It's got to do that when it's running on 30 horsepower.
That's okay. This thing was quick. It was a little bullet. I was like, zip, zip, ding, 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 zip, zip. And I thought, my wife has to see this. My wife is over 6 feet tall.
Right.
I get her to the dealership, and she looks at it, and she says, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Well, at least try it." I got in the driver's side, and I fit just fine. She gets in the passenger side. What I didn't realize is the passenger side is like 7-8 inches smaller than the driver's side, because the pedals are actually recessed back into the front of the vehicle, where the passenger floorboard's just flat. She gets in, her knees are up on her chest, basically, as she's folded into this car. We're shoulder to shoulder. It was tight, essentially.
I just have his mental image.
Well, at first, she started getting mad. She's like, "I can't believe you're making me ride in this thing. I can't believe you're making me ride in this." Well, just try it out. We put the top down and we take off in it. Oh, yeah, it's pretty peppy. It's pretty funny. Why are the windshield wipers on? Man, my seat's getting hot. Why are the hazards flashing? Look over at Letha. Her face is as red as a beet. And she is laughing so hard, but trying to hold it back. Her knees are turning everything on every time we turn a curve. We never made it back to the dealership because I thought I was going to have a heart attack from laughing. Because we would turn a curve, her knees would roll across the dash, and the stereo would go boom, 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 really loud, and the seat warmer would come back on, and the hazards would flash. The windshield. It looked like
an old Chrysler.
No, it looked like some Mark's brother comedy.
That's what I was thinking.
If I had a little horn honk honk, I would feel like Harpo. But we laughed till we cried. We had to stop at one point before we could make it back. So if you have long legs, smart car not for you. But anyway, Smart Car is debuting a new car to replace the current convertible. I don't even like calling it convertible, and I'll explain to you why. The current Smart Car convertible has a top that retracts back on a track, and then if you want to take the rails out, you have to manually get up, take the rails off, strap them into the back, and then fold that up, and then the back never really goes anywhere. It's just kind of baggy behind you, and
just like it's
like
a bad roadster.
You would have got the same effect from windows down and a sunroof. Okay, so to call it convertible is so much of a stretch. It's not even fair to put it in the convertible market.
Sure.
The new Smart Car fits the roadster theme. It is truly a convertible. They've also redone the front end of it, to where it's actually a classy looking little vehicle, and put better wheels on it, so it just doesn't look like you've slapped lawnmower wheels on a car. Everything about it is awesome, and they're thinking about putting an electric version of it out. So that kind of fooling to me, because I don't know where you put the batteries in this thing. You need a pretty good sized vehicle just for the batteries. The Prius proves that. So I'm excited to see one come out because it'll be a huge step up in design.
Sure.
I kind of liken it to the Scion when the first, what's the cube one called?
The XB.
The XB first came out.
Extra bucks.
It was so square. And then when the new version came out, it really went from like nighttime to day. I mean, it was that big of a change.
Right.
And you're like, oh, wow, that's a pretty sharp little vehicle now.
Yeah, to me,
Despite the teeny wheels. But
oh, and an exhaust pipe that's as big around as this
bottle.
I started to ask if it made the Jetsons sound. That was the first thing I was seeing with you two. Did all three of us do it at the same time? That's right. That's awesome.
So anyway, that's where I stand with the smart car and my smart car story. I do look forward to seeing the new smart car come out. And there is one more thing on the smart car I'll say that when we did our test, that I didn't actually get to talk about this last year, even though we drove that one. Then I actually took another one and did a thorough tech test on it and never actually published the test like I had on some of the other vehicles. There's two ways to survive a crash, right? One is to have a vehicle so rigid that it doesn't collapse on you. You know, that's the old idea of, I'm going to put as much metal between my son and the next car, to protect him. And the other method, crumple zones, right? Which we know is the best, because if car doesn't take the impact, body takes the impact.
Right.
Organs inside your body slam against your rib cage, right? Something has to give, right? Well, smart cars, they had to go with option one because there's no way to crumple them. So basically, you're in a solid cocoon that bounces like a ping pong ball when you have a wreck. Now, you might be safe inside of it, but you're jelly inside. Exactly. Okay? So that's my fear of a smart car. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, no.
I was just... no, I'm getting choked.
Hey, y'all choked up. I
was going to say I rode up
You
next
don't
to...
have to be jelly. Calm down.
You said jelly? What? No, you said... I rode up next to one on my motorcycle. I had a 1700 Warrior. It's a pretty long one. And the guy was looking at me kind of funny, and I think he figured out what I was doing because I went over to the lane, like next to him, and it was, this is a good comparison. Here's my motorcycle. Here's a smart car.
So it was a good foot or two. Your motorcycle was longer than the car.
Yes, I rode up to it, and I lined up the front wheel and the bumper, the front fender, and I looked, and...
He's holding a water bottle, and his cell phone. And he's, to give you an idea of how much longer the motorcycle was than the car. That's pretty funny.
It was a longer wheelbase, and yet it wasn't a chopper-style motorcycle, as some people might have that image. It was kind of a sport-tuned bike, so it actually didn't have that long of a stance.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are completely out of time. I want to thank everyone for joining us this week for Tech Talk. I'm Chad Hembree, your host. Joining me in the studio was Brian Himes and Dean Buttrey. You can find us on the web at www.chadhembree.com. You can also find us on Facebook, MySpace, Twitter. Anywhere you want to find us, you probably can. And we would love to hear from you and get your questions, your comments, concerns. Thanks again for joining us. Join us next week for more tech news.